First, let's talk about all the young players on the team, and it's pretty easy where to start off when we're talking about the Texans. With the second pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans selected CJ Stroud, and in my opinion, they made the best possible pick. I mean, of course it was the best possible pick, but I mean, that's besides the point. I guess while we're on the topic, you should have gone over Bryce Young. He's going to be a lot better than Bryce Young. He should have gone #1 overall. Okay, so back to the point. Since 2021, the Texans have been in need of a franchise quarterback because, Deshaun Watson happened. And after Davis Mills proved that he couldn't be the franchise quarterback, they took CJ Stroud 2nd overall, and hopefully he's a quarterback there for a very long time. Now really thinking about it, the Texans have awful quarterback luck. I've never really even noticed that. It's so bad it deserves its own video. Hopefully Stroud can become their first quarterback to really do something, and when I mean really do something, I mean make it far in the playoffs. I guess while we're on the topic of the 2023 draft, let's get started on Will Anderson. In this year's draft, the Texans had a pick at 12 from the Deshaun Watson trade that they got from the Browns, and they used that pick to trade up from 12 to 3 and got Will Anderson. So now not only do they have their star player for the future on offense, but they also have their star player for the future on defense. However, because of the trade, they had to give up their own 2024 first rounder, but they still have the first rounder from the Browns. Now that we got them out the way, let's look at the rest of the roster. They should have had him on this video, but for some reason I just didn't include him. But yeah, sorry Dameon Pierce. I think their wide receiver room when it comes to the future can be better, but this isn't bad. In his first 2 seasons, Nico Collins hasn't even surpassed 500 yards, so I might be wrong, you never know, but I don't think he's going to do much in his NFL career. Robert Woods signed with the Texans this offseason, and hopefully he can rebound his career there. John Mechie was drafted in 2022, but he missed all of that season because he had leukemia, which is very tragic, but he'll be back on the field this season. Since acquired Noah Brown from the Brandon Cooks trade a few months ago, and honestly, I don't expect Noah Brown to be in a Texans uniform in the next few months. I meant years, not months. Tank Dell was drafted in the 3rd round, and ironically, he went to Houston, and now he's playing for the Houston Texans, and honestly, I hope he does well, and I think he will. I'm a big fan of Tank Dell. If there's one Tank Dell fan, that's me, and if there are no Tank Dell fans, I am dead. Last receiver I'm going to be talking about is Xavier Hutchinson, and if you're a fan of college football, you know who this guy is. At Iowa State, Xavier Hutchinson was one of the best receivers in the nation. He was incredible at college. However, this wasn't even good enough to get him drafted in the first 5 rounds. He was drafted in the 6th. Hopefully for him, he can make a big impact for the Texans, and he can do very well in his career. The Texans also signed Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz this offseason, which, by the way, I'm really going to miss. However, it is a 1-year deal, so we don't know how long he's going to stay there. Now, listen, I don't think it's bad. Well, I think it's alright. The best player on the Texans, without a doubt, is Laremy Tunsil, who's been to multiple Pro Bowl appearances. And by the way, if it weren't for Laremy Tunsil getting traded here, they wouldn't be in the spot, which is kind of weird to think about. The Texans took Kenyon Green, who is now their left guard. They took him 15th overall last year in the 2022 NFL Draft. I don't know how well he did last year, but since he was a 1st-round draft pick, I'm expecting that he's going to be pretty good. Drew Scruggs, which by the way has to be on the all-name team, is their center, and they drafted him in the 2nd round. With him just being a 2nd-round pick, there is potential for him to do really good in the NFL. Last season, Shaq Mason played for the Tampa Bay Bucks, but during 2013 to 2019, he was with the Patriots, so the fact that he was a starting offensive lineman on those Tom Brady teams says enough. Lastly, we have Titus Howard, which honestly, all I know is that he was a 1st-round pick in 2019, and I don't know how well he's done in his career. Let's now focus on their defense, and I'm only going to be focusing on the young players. I already talked about Will Anderson, so let's talk about his Alabama teammate Christian Harris. Last year in his rookie season, he had 74 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 1 sack. I think that's pretty good. I forgot to mention, that was only in 12 games, by the way. Keeping on the trends of Alabama players, I had no idea Henry To'oTo'o was on the Texans. I guess hopefully for him and the team, he can do well there. A guy I talked about in my last video, Jalen Petree, I think can have a very solid sophomore season. He had a very solid rookie season, so I think obviously he's going to progress even more. Last guy on the defense I'm going to be talking about is Derek Stingley Jr., the 3rd overall pick in 2022. Somehow got taken over Sauce Gardner. Everyone knew Sauce Gardner was supposed to go ahead of him. Anyways, Derek Stingley is very solid though, so I expect a lot out of him in year 2. Over the last few seasons, the Texans have had many problems with their draft picks. They haven't had a first-round pick from 2018 to 2021. However, they did in 2022 and 2023. Like I said, they don't have their own in 2024, but they do have the Browns, and they have their own in 2025 and 26. Now, Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Jags, who are in their own division.